You're listening to Anibros, episode number 75. Today on the show, the bros are finally back into the swing of things with a quick peek at fall season, a critique of Gundam Reconquista in G, and a mutual nod toward a fantastic film, Time of Eve. So get ready to visit the cafe downstairs because the Anibros are not just androids. Okay. Welcome to Anibros. We are the bros. And we're finally back with a regular old episode. And as always, be sure to follow us on the old Twitter, like us on the old Facebook, and visit our old website at www.anibrospodcast.com.
.old.
That is $29.99 a month to get the .old domain, and I opted out of that. What is up? We haven't had a regular episode in quite some time.
Yeah, I feel like it has been a long time, and hopefully it won't be such a long time before the next episode.
Yeah, we're out of con season in this part of this neck of the woods is 2 cons. So never mind about con season. But
we're done with that.
Several doujinshis were bought.
Came back home, watched a lot of anime.
It's all you can do, really, when you think about it.
It is. But is it all you can do?
No. Not at all. I've watched not as much anime as you have, I'm sure.
What did you watch?
I watched one thing from this season.
What about last season? We never even really wrapped up summer, and I don't really feel good about that.
Okay, yeah, we can wrap up summer. I'm trying to think if I finished anything from summer. And I think that answer is no.
How about Nozaki-kun? That was a great show.
It was good, and I'm trying to remember what the end was, and if I actually finished it, or if I just stopped a few episodes before the end, which I think the latter is what happened.
It's a great show. I was really surprised in how good Nozaki-kun ended up being. You kind of think it's going to be like, oh, some romance show, but all the characters are like top-notch, and it is a romantic comedy, I guess, technically, but it's more comedy than romance.
I remember liking it at first, and then kind of not liking it as much, and after a couple episodes, it flipped back to liking it a lot, and I sort of got into the characters and liked it.
And of course, as long as we're done talking about that, I guess we can also be done talking about Sabagebu.
Sabagebu? Yeah, I definitely didn't finish that show, but not without a lack of liking it. The entirety of summer season, I just sort of didn't watch it to the finish. It was definitely, from what I watched, 100%, 110% better than the C3 girls.
Yeah, that's true. C3 was really more
bad.
If you stand them up next to each other, it's really more about just the girls being girls. This one is just like filthy comedy, like Mad Magazine or South Park.
They're technically both girls in a survival club, but one of them did a good job.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what you like, but if I had to, point for me at least, which one's a better show, I definitely rewatched Sabagebu more. It's got more substance, I would say.
More war.
Less war.
Actually, yes. It's less about the survival club, but somehow better.
Yeah. Just because I like comedy.
Well, who doesn't? People who like Anibros probably like comedy.
Hopefully. Otherwise, they're probably not enjoying themselves.
Not at all. They probably don't know why they like this show.
Or maybe they're saying to themselves, is this supposed to be comedy?
Yeah, that might be the other case.
And then Space Dandy wrapped up.
Oh, freaking Space Dandy.
Best show ever.
It's going to be one of those running jokes where I'm just never going to watch it, and I'll never know what was going on with that show.
I don't know. Personally, the last episode, it was really good, but I guess just because it was so hyped up, I guess, in my mind, and they only had one episode to kind of finish it up. It's still super good, but Space Dandy is definitely one of those shows where, because each episode is by a different director, so it's like, oh, you might like one episode just a ton more than another. And there were definitely episodes like that in season 2 for me.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about that show. Continually. Every time we've talked about it.
I mean, I would just pick it up and just start watching an episode randomly whenever you feel like it.
I've seen the first episode of season 1, if that counts for anything. I imagine that since there's so many different directors, they exploit different tropes and different random crap for each thing, each episode, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm sure it's great because of that. You're not going to get any sort of static anything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like each episode's kind of just like like watching a 30-minute movie. Like this one, I had to get like a TV rip. I could not watch Funimation's version just because the art is so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what is up with Funimation's video quality?
It's terrible.
I don't know how they can believe or expect that people will be okay with this.
I'm not.
Nobody is. It's like a running joke.
Need to get out.
They do need to get out.
Crunchyroll has some weird video quality on some of their shows too. Like I noticed, I think it was I My Me and like Shin Strange Plus. Like the video is like super bright and washed out.
Oh. Well, I didn't watch those shows. Well, I guess I didn't notice.
I know they take it straight from the TV station, so I guess it depends on what they get from there. But
Does the TV station actually give them the like negatives?
yeah, they give them their raw files.
Or does Crunchyroll rip it from the TV?
I know they get the raw files sometimes because some shows, like their rip, will be better quality than any rip you can get anywhere else. But at other times, I don't know, somehow it's ripped from it or something.
They like get the rights, but that's it, and the production company's like, find it yourself. Go torrent it. You can do it. We're giving you permission, but that's all you get.
It's not always the exact same method, but I know sometimes they do work like directly with them and get like the highest thing available, you know. Obviously somehow before they put like, you know, the little scrolling text on the bottom
Yeah.
or the little TV logo in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good place to be.
I do like Crunchyroll. Admittedly, since I didn't really finish out a summer season, I haven't really watched anything on Crunchyroll because since Gundam isn't on there,
Oh yeah,
unfortunately.
that's right. I guess you can watch that sumo show, Naked Wolves.
Yeah, I'm hoping it makes it worth my while this season, or else I might just cancel my subscription until winter.
I guess when we get to this season, we can say that there's not a lot.
Yeah.
I watched the second season of Hamtaro.
Hamtaro.
Man, I don't know if I can really recommend this show anymore. I really loved the first season. It was super cool and original, but it ended, but it also ended with a weird cliffhanger where like, I don't know, some guy supposedly comes back from the dead and then kills some other guy and it's like a giant surprise. But now the second season kind of seems like they're just kind of making up as they go after that. They're like, "Oh, I don't know how to make a second season." So,
Okay. Did we talk about this show a little bit?
before, yeah, the first season was 2 seasons ago.
Okay, yeah.
And the second season, I don't know, because you kind of have to watch them both to get it. Because if you have to watch both to get it, I don't know if I can recommend any of it because the first season's good, but the second season's bad, and they lead into each other. So
Well, is it adapted from anything?
no, it's an original.
Okay. So yeah, they just straight up couldn't make a second season. They didn't know what to do.
I guess, yeah, it's really weird because it finally they pull out an ending, and the whole ending is like, and then the entire world has changed, and then the end. It's like,
Maybe they were like promised one season, so they really put all their efforts into one season. Then they were like, guess what? Everyone's buying our dolls. You get to make a second season. They're like, oh, we destroyed the world though, I guess. Open it up. Try again.
maybe, yeah. They just barely made enough for a second season. They're like, let's do it. I don't know.
Like we could probably tell a season, maybe.
I'm not sure if I can recommend the show overall, but because I know if you watch the first season, you'll get hooked on it and it's awesome. But then you'll be stuck with the second season, which is kind of like this is not as good as an ending. But
Well, that's anime.
yeah, Jinsei as the best opening song award.
Oh, I didn't know this was award time.
It is.
Do you think? Well, we need the P. Rizzler here if we're gonna give out awards.
Well, his hat is here. He's here in spirit.
Okay,
I'll wear his hat right now.
wear his hat and give it the old J-pop award 2014.
His straw hat. Mountain Climbing Girls, I forgot to watch because it wasn't simulcast.
Yeah, but it is on Crunchyroll though, season 2, right?
The first episode is.
Oh, I saw it as a, like a thing you can click on, but I didn't click on it ever, so I never saw the list of episodes. I didn't know it was just one episode.
I watched the first episode, and then after that, I guess they had trouble acquiring the rest of the episodes.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
They have the rights. They have to, in order for them to have the first episode.
I would think it's kind of a situation I haven't seen before, but they only have the first episode, so there you go.
All right, that sucks. I was sort of under the impression in the very back of my mind, like if I ever want to watch Mountain Climbing Girl season 2, it's on Crunchyroll. I can just watch it.
Nope.
But now you've just ruined that for me, so I guess I have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah, and I'll probably really enjoy that show if I ever get around to watching it. Cause
I do like that it's now in half an hour format, which made me want to watch it a lot.
I guess it's still going too. I think it's going to go for another season.
Really? Is it going to be 26 episodes?
26.
Like they're just going to keep on going? That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's actually about mountain climbing?
Probably. I don't know. I only watched the first episode.
It only needs to be about 13% more about mountain climbing in season 1.
I suspect it must be.
Interested. Because season 1, they didn't climb a lot of mountains.
They
or
did.
any mountains, really, when you think about it.
Didn't they climb one or two?
They climbed the mountain of their friendship.
In the OVA, they climbed the rock climbing wall.
Yeah. I wanted them to be like traversing Everest. They didn't do that.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to check out season 2.
I wish there was like a real genre based on anime that is not necessarily sports, but just activities that normal people do, like mountain climbing. It's always a weird novelty that turns out to be about just cute girls doing cute things instead of the actual like genre of what I want.
You gotta do what sells.
Yeah, that's been my problem. But somehow I keep coming back for more. I don't know how to just give it up.
Terror and Resonance. I thought was a good show.
Yeah. I didn't start that. Kenny said that it was kind of lackluster at the end.
That's kind of the common opinion, I guess. Maybe like the second half people stopped liking, but I mean, the whole show, and everyone can agree, the first half is awesome, just amazing. And then they kind of introduced another character halfway through, and people, I don't know, started kind of stop liking it. And then the ending is kind of, I don't know, it's fine in my opinion. I really like the whole show because it's not just these kids have the power to be super kids. You know how most anime is.
Uh-huh.
But this one, it has these kids who are being terrorists, and they kind of have their own goal. But it also spends a lot of time focusing on the police and their story and them trying to solve the mystery at the same time, where you can like see the mystery, know the answer, but then it shows the police working their way through.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool. You get both sides of the story.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another show like that where you're rooting for both sides. Or like it's possible to have a, pick a side where you're like, oh, these guys are going to figure it out. Or the bad guys are going to do it. You don't really know.
I guess we could say Death Note.
I was thinking Death Note, but is it split half and half? Because I don't think Death Note's quite half and half.
It's pretty split half and half. Like from everything else, it's kind of like the main characters are, what are like 9 and 11 or 9 and 12.
Yeah, they have number names.
Yeah.
That's right.
And those are the two main characters, and they're doing terrorism to like send a message.
Technically, that's all terrorism.
Well, they specifically like don't ever kill people, so it's just like they just do things to send a message and leave little clues for somebody to like uncover the conspiracy of what happened. And then you also get to see the police doing their part. It's not just all focus on the kids and then just a shot of like Zenigata going, "I'll figure it out."
I would like that. I would like if Zenigata was called in. They're just like, we need Interpol on this. We can't figure it out.
I think they do pull in the Interpol from America. There's some great English speaking in this anime.
Oh, it's one of those. Maybe I definitely need to bump it up on the priority then.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for anything when it has English voice. Well, Japanese people acting English is the
Yes.
best.
Extended English voice acting from Japanese people.
Extended.
Yeah. And then Hana Monogatari was this season. I think it was like 4 episodes or 6 episodes.
Okay, I have no idea what that is. Does it have to do with the other Monogatari's?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super good. If you've seen Bakuman and Guitar, you should watch this. If you haven't seen it, you should watch that.
I haven't and I won't.
All No Zero, did you watch that?
No. Kenny kept me sort of informed about what was going on. Less in spoilers and plot and more in, holy shit, did you see this? Oh man, it just got great. Oh, it's kind of bad now. Oh, that ending. I heard, well, from his opinion, it's worth my time, but not like a critically acclaimed thing.
Well, there's probably other critically acclaimed things you should watch.
Yeah, that's, if it's gonna get that review, I got plenty of other things to watch.
Code Geass.
Well, that's not on the list, but it didn't look amazing, but I sort of just in my mind wanted it to be amazing.
I don't want to insult anybody out there, but I haven't heard good things from good people about it.
About that show?
Yeah. The only hype I see are kind of people with questionable taste.
Well, are they people who only like military mech things and that's it?
I'll just say they have questionable taste and leave it at that.
Can you give me another example of something they would like?
Maybe like playing with rocks,
So they like to go outside.
staring at the wall.
They like to look at the wall. They like to, witness the paint being dried, as it were.
Solving simple math problems. Maybe Googling memes on the Google.
They just type in the meme into Google and then look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I personally have ever met someone like that, but if
Good.
all right, well,
Did you watch anything else from summer?
no, all that stuff was like whatever. I guess I'm under the impression that fall is the time when all the good shows start, but what I've heard lately is that that's not the case this year.
No, I've been really unimpressed with this season, which is why I kind of made it my thing. Every week I'm going to try to watch a classic anime I haven't seen yet.
Now, when you say classic, and then also say haven't seen yet, how far back are we going here?
Oh, as far back as necessary.
So let's talk about summer first, though. What have you watched from the actual season? Or no, sorry, fall.
Not a lot, but some. Let's see.
Because then I also want to know what classic fall substitutes that you've been watching.
I don't have the English names for these. Denki Gai no Honya-san. It's about these people running kind of like a doujinshi store in Akihabara.
Uh-huh.
It's not very good. So far, it's like 5 girls
Sure.
and like one guy, and then also another guy, but he's the manager, so he doesn't do anything.
Sounds about right.
And the girls are not particularly funny. They're just kind of filling their little stereotypes, and it's just really just one of those shows like, hey, what do otaku like? Let's say all these things, like when you're at the store and the books have stickers on them. Haha. Like, you can't look at those books.
I don't really understand why they have to make a show like that. Don't otaku like when the show is about fantasy world and the girls are doing their tropes instead of it being about otaku?
Yeah, a show about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't need to get that deep and meta about it. It can just be, put them in like 19th century European town and make them in a club, and the otaku will buy the hug pillows.
Yeah, it's not very good. I think it falls under the 3-episode rule, so I don't know. We'll see. Jesus, this one, I think it's called like, I can't understand what my husband is saying.
I'm imagining the show is just like a language barrier. Like he's just like a German man, and he's just trying to like live in Japan, and she's like, I seriously don't know what he's saying. I hope he wants tea, because that's what I'm making him.
I remember I found out about the manga right before I found out about the anime. I was just reading, because it's a 4-coma, and I was just kind of working my way through all those at work. And then I'm like, oh, this one's really funny. So I looked up more information. It's like, anime coming out next season. I'm like, oh, I'll just wait for that. So it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something. It's about this otaku who somehow gets married
Somehow.
to a not otaku.
Somehow.
Yeah. And I guess like
How did this even happen?
he does otaku things and she doesn't understand them.
Oh. Okay.
It's not like outrageous, like slapstick constantly. She's just kind of like, like I really don't understand.
It totally sounds, yeah, I can kind of imagine how it probably goes.
It's very realistic.
Is it good? It sounds like if it's realistic, And that sounds like a premise that might be pretty funny.
It's very slice of life, like really just like them hanging around the house, then
Okay.
her being like, "How do you like 2D?" And he's like, "You'll never understand." And then like she's be like, "What if I act Moe?" He's like, "That's Moe or
Impossible for
something."
you
Yeah.
because I know you. Well, would you recommend watching it?
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, but I've read the manga. Yeah, I'll keep watching that for sure.
Based on that, I might watch that. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
I do like slice of life, as long as it doesn't get overly annoying and stupid.
No, it's really realistic. It's like did you ever watch the anime about Ano and his wife?
About like Hideaki Anno?
Yeah.
There's an anime about that? No, I didn't
Oh
know
my
that.
God. I told you 1,000 times, you and Willis.
Well, I can probably claim the same excuse as Willis is that I wasn't listening and I didn't care.
Willis would like even more because Ano, I guess, loves Sentai, and the show is like half about him loving Sentai, but it's pretty interesting. It's really just slice of life as well. Like she's complaining, like he never takes a bath or changes his clothes, and he's a giant otaku. He's like, yeah, I am. Deal with it.
What's that called again?
What is it called? It's called
I want to watch it. Is it really? Does Anno voice himself?
no.
Oh, but it's actually about him. Like it's not just said to be about him. Like they licensed Anno as a character, like his likeness.
No, it's written by the wife. Insufficient direction. It's autobiographical. It's written by the wife and their otaku marriage and lifestyle.
All right, yeah, it looks. I can see a little caricature of Anno. Oh, it's on Crunchyroll. Well, no, it's not. Except for Volume 1 is.
Oh, the manga is, yeah.
I want to watch this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. And every episode ends with like a version of like I imagine like some kind of pop idols, but they're singing like some kind of really old anime or Sentai song.
That he's just into.
Yeah, like the last episode is them singing Yamato, and
Oh.
I didn't know until they got closer to the chorus because they turned it into like just like a ED sounding song, like a regular ending song.
Oh, cool. Did you ever watch that live action video of Anno teaching a bunch of kids things?
Yeah,
That's what I imagine Anno's like all the time.
this is a lot funnier than that, just because like he's got a wife and
Yeah, the kid thing wasn't like super funny, but it was sort of like overall funny just because of the situation. You're like, what? Anno doesn't need to be with these kids. He's just he can just be at home.
you know, like they're rich enough, I guess, so they always are going out somewhere fun.
All right, yeah, I'll watch this. Seems like fun.
Another show I watched for fall. I really wasn't gonna watch this, but then I was bored one day and decided to try it. Amagi Brilliant Park. It's by Kyoto Animation.
Of course it is.
It's based on a novel. It's about like I guess some kind of like theme park, basically like fake Disneyland. Really sucks and is kind of broken down and nobody's showing up. So like this new transfer student comes in. She has a magical gun and she forces the guy to go on a date with her to the sucky amusement park. And at the end he says like this really sucks. And then like the queen of the amusement park says, "Well, how about if I give you magic powers and your job is to make it reach 2,000 visitors by the end of the month?" And he's like, "Oh no."
Is that what he says?
Yeah, it's not good in any way that I can tell.
As soon as you started describing it, I was like, okay, it sounds like Adventureland the anime. But no, apparently it sounds like Bad Anime the anime.
That's the English title.
Yeah.
And then I watched something that is not on here. It's like Kukuri-san or something. It's about this little girl, I guess. She's always alone and depressed, so Japan has so many like weird little folklore and little games, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like saying Bloody Mary or something, but somehow they make like a little piece of paper and like kind of like a Ouija board or something.
Okay.
And she calls like a ghost or like a deadly spirit, and then it comes, and then she just did it just like to hang out with it or something, and it decides to stay because it's like, wow, like all this girl does is like eat cup noodles and is not being healthy. So I don't know. It's a little bit funny.
All right. So she summons a demon just for the sole purpose of doing it and to hang out with a demon.
Kind of, but then at the same time, she kind of like wants him to leave and doesn't like him.
Oh, so she just sort of like wants to do it just because, and then was like, all right, that was fun. Why are you still here?
Yeah.
And he's like, because you're crazy. I want to watch. She's like, go home.
It's kind of like a real simple, just kind of gag anime where she's like the mean one, just kind of with like a venomous tongue, and he's kind of like the straight man to all of her little things.
Oh, sure, okay.
I liked it at the time. It was like the first thing I watched from this season that wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it seems like just a really basic premise for any sort of comedic elements to happen. It's like an improv game. Like you're the demon and you're the crazy girl. Go.
It's not the best thing. I should probably stop talking about it.
All right.
This one's like when battles have become everyday superpowers.
Is that the new Shonen BD-mon card game?
No, it's not that one. It's Ino Battle wa Nichijo Kei no Naka de.
All right. So I heard battle and then every day.
So there's the 5 members of a literature club.
And they battle?
Not at first. They're just kind of a normal school club doing nothing. And one of the kids is kind of like has Chunibyo. So he's like, Okabe, where he's just like, my right hand of power.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they just all get superpowers for no reason.
Oh,
Like literally no reason.
well, that sucks.
And they're just like, okay. Like they're really realistic about it. They're like, we have these powers. Like we should probably hide them. Otherwise people will think we're weird. And then somebody finds out and then they join the club too. I don't know.
This sounds like it's the worst thing possible.
Not possible. It's average so far, but it really seems like it's like gonna build up to something. Because at the end, it also like zooms out the window and shows like a bad guy, like with the top half of his face cut off, like ho ho ho.
Like he's just watching them from afar. Like these kids have no idea
Yeah.
about the damsel I tied to the train over here.
So it's probably not the best so far, but it seems like it's trying to build up towards something, then just be enjoyable per episode, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
And then the last thing and the best thing I watched is Shirobako.
Shiro Bako.
That's a white box.
It's like White Album, but it's a box.
And it's about these high school girls
Sure, of course.
that just after the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes, they just graduate from high school. They're not high school girls. They're girls who work in the anime industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the coolest show ever. It's by PA Works, so I expected to hate it. I almost didn't watch it,
But
but I don't know. I just gave it a try. And the first 5 minutes are them like in high school, like, do you think we'll make it? Do you think your mom will get mad at you if you move out? Do you think like we can eat all these donuts? And like, I'm like, oh, this sucks.
sounds like a regular time.
But then it just like shifts, and all of a sudden she's like listening to the radio, and like she has a deadline, and then she starts like drifting and racing this guy, and I'm like, what? And then like it shows like it's kind of like what's that manga show? Bakemon?
Manga show about what?
About the 2 kids who make manga.
Bakuman.
Bakuman. Yeah, it's like that, but for anime. And I guess they're adults in Bakuman, so I guess it's like that.
Yeah, Bakuman was fine. It didn't even show them in school ever. So, I mean, it kind of sometimes, but it wasn't really the main focus.
Yeah. It's like that, but for anime, I would say.
All right, about that quality. It's not just ridiculous and gaggy and cutesy the whole time.
Yeah, it's even less ridiculous and jokey.
Okay.
It's like kind of turning into a drama. Like they're all working hard, and it shows like them specifically talking about like who's going to do the keyframes on episode 7, and we need episode 3 colored, and like we need this done so the voice actors can do this, and like can you deliver this over here? They're like, okay. And like, and one guy's like, I screwed up. I hired this animator who is a newbie and he sucked, and now we have to like get a new guy by tomorrow. And they're like, oh no. And like it's really cool. I like it.
Maybe I'll watch that tonight. I see that there's only one episode out so far.
You should. Yeah, I would say that is my show of the season right now.
Okay, cool.
I still probably haven't seen everything, but I really like that.
I remember it being, when we were looking at the chart before for fall, it being one of the ones I marked down as neat.
Yeah, it was one that I marked down as like probably not gonna watch, but it's really good.
That's good. That's good.
And what did you watch?
I watched one thing, and that was, wait for it, Reguista. Hold on, I gotta look it up.
Come on.
It's not a real word.
It is a real word.
No, they changed the Q with the G, so it's recon. Hold on.
It's a Spanish word.
It is. I don't speak Spanish. Reconquista in G. So they replaced the Q with the G. Anyway, that title has nothing to do with what's happened so far at all. I was very upset. There's no conquering by conquistadors yet. But watching the trailer for this, several weeks ago, it looked really cool. It had really cool animation. The plot summary had a cool story. So I thought it was going to be awesome. It turns out the first two episodes, not so awesome. Let's see. The animation, basically everything was awesome except for the pacing and dialogue of the show is what I thought.
And you're coming to us as a Gundam fan, right?
Yeah, as like 100%, well, an 80% Gundam fan, if you take into consideration every single work that has been applied to the Gundam franchise. I like most of it. And I knew that Tomino's directing this, which is already like, all right, I'm interested.
Who is Tomino?
Tomino, Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino, the man behind the curtain, the director. He's the series creator. He created the original Gundam, and he directed Zeta Gundam and Char's Counterattack, and a bunch of other shows in the 80s, mech shows. Yeah, he basically did a bunch of mech shows for Sunrise in the 80s, and also did Turn A Gundam in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think that's only early 2000s. But anyway, so he's like associated with Gundam and mechs and being a bad director because he either kills all of his guys or can't figure out how to pace the show correctly. But he's notorious. Well, I don't know if he's notorious for this, but I find that he's really good at creating like a world and I guess pushing his political agenda of what he's trying to get across for his show. So his world and lore is really interesting, but like watching the show just dramatically is kind of annoying sometimes. Nothing is more annoying than these first two episodes, which, like I said, so they animate it in this really awesome way. It really looks like old school animation. For once, the CG is not annoying. They somehow seamlessly blend it in. It looks beautiful. Everything is beautiful. I would say it looks as awesome as Gundam Unicorn, but in a very different style and not so high budget. So it doesn't like technically look as nice, but I mean, it's as nice as it can be for a television series. But yeah, everything looks really cool and the character designs are great. The mech designs are really awesome. The story, like what's going on and the factions and all those guys are really cool. But these voice actors, I can't tell if it's the voice actors that are causing the problem or the fact that there's like zero silence in between their lines being delivered. So it's just a bunch of people talking really fast and then a scene change. And like it's like they cut the scene off, like they cut it to the next scene way earlier. So like not so early to where it doesn't make any sense, but like if they would have let it go for like one more second, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
So they're just like jump cutting around and talking really fast with the worst dialogue possible. They're just shouting stuff and doing really weird like Japanese like like just yelling that a lot, and it's bad. It's like they're trying to pack in 3 episodes into 2 episodes is kind of what it feels like. They're really rushing and saying stuff really quickly, and then action happens and they run around and do stuff. There's like no silence or time to digest what's going on, and they don't set it up in a way that lets you figure out what's going on, I guess. It's more like they just throw a bunch of stuff at you. Even someone like myself who watches a lot of Gundam and knows all, because it takes place like 1,000 years after the end of the UC century, which is a universal timeline that a lot of Gundam shows go off of. So all the stuff in that timeline's history happens in this show's history as well. But you really, I mean, it's so far in the future that you don't know. And it really throws all the stuff at you that you're just like, I don't know what they're talking about. It's just a bunch of random nonsense. I don't know who these armies, like the Capitol Guard, I don't know who any of these people are. And they just sort of rapid fire throw it at you, and you have no way of knowing.
So would you say it's kind of like a show for children or adults?
It feels like it's meant for children, but it's also like kind of pandering toward people who've already seen Gundam. So it's hard to really gauge what the audience is for. I was looking it up after I watched the first two, and when this comes out, the third one's already out, but I have not seen that yet. But the first two were released simultaneously as like an hour special. So I'm really hoping that maybe the first two were made earlier and meant to be a promotional type of thing where maybe it has a different sort of flow and tone than the rest of the show will have. That's just maybe my wishful thinking. I forgot. What was the question you asked?
I was just gonna say if it's for children or adults, because kind of from what you're describing, it kind of like the ADD pacing and like the simplistic dialogue, it kind of seems like it's kind of for kids.
Yeah.
Whereas like adults might be able to handle like slower scenes or like, you know.
I read somewhere after I was looking it up, that's what I was saying, that I don't remember if it was a forum or an actual article that I read, but someone was saying that Tomino actually said that it was going to have more of a kid kind of feel. The demographic for the show might be more aimed toward younger kids. It didn't really feel like that was the plan, because first of all, Tomino is known for like killing off a lot of people and kind of being depressive and violent. And then also, the tone didn't feel like it was for kids. It just felt like it jumped around. Like if they were to had it together, it would have been a normal drama. So I'm not sure what to think yet, which is really sad because everything else except for this one part is beautiful. Like it's one of the most well-animated Gundams I've seen in quite some time. And the mech designs and the character designs are really nice. The style is really awesome. It looks like it came straight from the 90s.
So you'll definitely gonna watch it?
I will watch it until it does something that's too terrible to make me not want to watch it anymore. But I'm going to give it, I'll just have to keep having faith that it's going to change. Because a lot of the Gundams, they'll kind of be one thing and then they'll change into another thing toward the mid-season. So hopefully it'll do that. I guess that's all I can hope for so far. Out of 2 episodes, technically 1 long episode, it has a lot of potential. I just really hope that it'll realize that potential.
Did it seem like it was like, I don't know, I've never watched a Gundam. Does it like build up toward one thing, or is it like several small stories and then the last one just ends it, or?
No, it started building up toward one thing. It always follows like a small group of people and they're the protagonists. And then they sort of have their adventure. And then slowly, so slowly throughout, you start to see the other factions and like what's going on. They start to introduce, based on older Gundam, it's really kind of formulaic in that you just go on this space opera. So you have your main cast and you're going to do a thing like an adventure, and like antagonists come at you, and the story changes throughout. It's not really a really tangled web until later. It doesn't start that way. So, as of the first 2, it's sort of generic. Like, I'm a kid and I'm doing my thing. Oh, bad guys attacked, and now I gotta do something.
Oh, bad guys attacked. What's this giant robot doing here? I'll just hop in.
Yeah, basically. Like, that part was to be expected. Like, I was fully ready for it to just be like, I'm the kid and I can save the day. Like, I knew that was probably going to be it. So that didn't put me off. It's just, I don't know, somehow just like the literal way the story is being told is annoying and too fast-paced, and it's not fun to watch. You don't have enough time to really like soak in what's happening. It's just too quick.
Well, it could have been that hour-long special. They were trying to make it like a...
I really hope that that's it. And like I said, episode 3 is out. I'm going to watch that, and we'll see if that fixed it. The episodes went by really quickly, obviously, but enough to where the credits would roll, and I'd be like, oh, I wish it was still going. So that must mean something. Maybe it's doing okay.
Yeah, but it's not on Crunchyroll, right?
It is not on Crunchyroll.
Is it on Funimation?
I don't know. It's a Sunrise show, and I don't know what kind of deals they have with people. Even if it was on Funimation, I would want to get a good version of it.
I'm just trying to think if there's any way for people to watch it, but I guess they'll have to steal it.
Oh, and also there was a problem technically with where it was in mono. The first episode was in mono. It aired in mono, so all the rips are mono. I noticed that it sounded different. I was like, this sounds kind of bad, but that's all I cared about until later. I was like, oh, it's mono, that's why.
Well, I give it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, if all the episodes were like the first 2, I would also give it like a 1 out of 10.
That's being generous.
It's such a shame though, because it looks so nice. Like if you just muted it, just looked at it, it'd be like, oh, this is the best show ever. Maybe I should do that, actually. Maybe just put on some soft classical music and then read the subtitles as they go by.
Just look at screenshots of it and just be like, yeah, I can't wait till this comes out.
This is the Gundam I've been waiting for.
All right, well, don't be all wishy-washy saying it's good and then saying it's bad now.
Well, that's a Gundam fan's way. I don't know what I think about it yet. It's too early to tell.
Did you watch Tech on Concrete?
No, I do have that DVD right here. Literally, I can see it right now.
I watched that just because I heard you have it.
I'm going to watch it. I need to give it back to the person I'm borrowing it from. Anyway.
It was okay. It's very arty, more art
Yeah,
than
Studio
story.
4C does stuff like that. Did you watch Mind Game ever?
Yeah,
Would you compare it favorably to Mind Game?
Mind Game's awesome.
And this isn't as cool?
Um,
Was it the same kind of weirdness?
the ending is kind of weird.
Yeah, I loved Mind Game when I first saw that.
Yeah.
So I was hoping this would be the same kind of thing.
Mind Game still had like weird parts in it, but it had this a really cool beginning and ending, which I think helps out.
Yeah. I really liked the art in Mind Game, how it was just drawn super weird.
Yeah. I like the story, how it kind of
Yeah, me too. Yeah, all of it was great in Mind Game. I liked it a lot.
I liked the drum solo while he was escaping the whale. That was the coolest drum solo ever.
Yeah.
I searched for a long time, like, what is the drum solo in Mind Game where he's escaping from the whale? And everyone's like, I don't know what you mean by that.
What? I was watching the whale part.
Who played those drums?
Yeah, I want to know the guy. He's a good guy. But yeah, Studio 4C usually does good work.
Yeah, the animation is really good, and it's very, artistic.
Yeah, I do like that.
But yeah, then I watched Bakano, because that was
Yeah.
a classic I haven't seen.
The classic corner.
There's a lot of anime that I haven't seen that several people would consider classic, and I just kind of don't want to go on living unless I watch those.
Sure.
I watch a lot of, and I enjoy a lot of just high school girls doing high school girl things.
Contemporary works, as I call them.
But, it just kind of, I think it might make me feel less legitimate if somebody's like, you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, but you've seen Doki Doki High School
K-On?
Hour.
You love K-On! And quote it all day, but you can't tell me one character in Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah, I do love K-On! And I do quote it every day.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't making a joke when I just said that. I was just saying how it was.
Well, I can name the Cowboy Bebop characters.
That's good.
That picture of Cowboy Bebop at his computer?
Yeah,
I took that screenshot.
that's good. He's my favorite character.
He's okay. But, Bakano, I don't know. It took me a long time to kind of get into.
Would you say that you ever got into it?
Yeah, because I also watched the OVAs. There's like
Okay.
3 OVAs.
Yeah.
And that was more of like a contained story, which apparently Bakano is like a long series of novels, and the anime just kind of grabs like a chunk of it, I assume.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I guess if somebody needs to know what it's like about these gangsters in New York within like 1929 to like 1932. And there's like a billion characters, and they do
Yeah.
a billion things, and it's told completely just in random order. Just not even coherent scenes in random order, just like random shots in random order. And I thought it's kind of annoying because it starts out with like the last scene, showing you the resolution, showing that who's alive is alive, whoever's dead is dead, and then and then it just kind of keeps jumping back and forth. And I'm like, parts of it were really good. It took me a long time to get into. Episodes 3 and 4, I really wanted to stop watching, but I kept going, and it was all right by the end.
Every time I think of Bakano, I just start thinking about the episode where they talk about the ship, like when they actually go back to the 1700s. I like that the most. I don't know why.
That was a good episode, yeah. That was the one that really started to like kind of make sense, because everything that was like halfway or 3/4 of the way
Yeah,
through.
it's pretty far in there, and then you just sort of get to find out how it all started. You're like, oh, that's cool.
That was probably when I started enjoying it. Everything before that, I'm kind of like, what? So there's like 5, 6 gangs, and they all have like different relationships with each other, like whether they're friends or neutral or enemies or used to be friends or used to be enemies, or this one likes this one but that one doesn't like them back, and like all these gangs and all these members, and they all look the same and all this stuff, and some of them are immortal and I don't know why, but then they kind of, you think you know why, and I don't know, it's just really confusing, and then it goes back, kind of tells you, and then once you figure everything out, which takes way too long in my opinion, then it's kind of enjoyable.
The last time I watched the show was seriously like when it came out. So I don't really remember hating how the pacing was or how how long it took to get to the point. But I do remember the end product and just liking the overall story, just thinking it was cool how it turned out.
It is very unique. There's not a lot of anime based in New York or based in America in the 30s. So if you like that, I imagine like Patrick might like it or something.
I wonder if he's actually seen that show. And if he did, I wonder if he'd actually like it.
I can only assume he would greatly enjoy it.
Well, he'd probably get mad that it was taking too long, or he didn't like the order or something.
No.
He'd probably just fast forward through a bunch of it.
It seems like the thing he would do because it's got alchemists and it's got America and...
Yeah, I liked it, and I like how it ended. If you want to watch like a somewhat, I wouldn't call it a sequel per se, but it's like in the same universe, I guess. You could watch Durararararara, which I watched dubbed, and I hated it dubbed. So my opinion of it is now forever soiled.
Is it the same kind of like completely out of order?
No, it's not like Baccano whatsoever.
Okay.
Which might also be why I didn't like it.
Well, it still has a lot of characters though, right?
Yeah, it has a bunch of characters. It might be told kind of out of order, but not in the same way that Baccano is. You get little pieces, but it's not like taking over the span of a long time. It's taking over the span of a very short time. It might actually be out of order. I'm trying to remember now.
Because the problem with Baccano is like it got to the point where it's like so out of order that I would just stop caring, remembering when something happened. Like they'd be on the train. The train is like the coherent thing that was always kind of... No, it wasn't always in order. I was about to say it was whenever they flashed to the train, it was always the next part, but that's not true. You could kind of tell when the order of things that happened on the train, right?
Yeah.
But then it would constantly flash like before or after the train, or like farther before the train, or farther.
I
after
always
the
thought
train.
the train was like, I guess, yeah, you're like technically the present. You're like, yeah, the story is the train, and then you're getting all these glimpses of what happened before and after the train.
Yeah.
That's how I always thought of it, though.
It kind of is. At least, I don't know, before
I think it's like
watched the
that
show.
until in the present, in quotes, you get, they after the train. I think the story tells the part after the train in present tense, if that makes sense.
See, I don't know what it would call in present tense, because it always just flashes and tells you what year it's in. And...
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you just have to put it together yourself. Which, once it's all together, I think the story in general is cool.
I think I might really enjoy it if I could watch it completely chronologically.
Oh, I like that you don't get it all, because I like having like a million questions at the end of something and then knowing that they'll be eventually resolved.
Well, it's not about having questions at the end. It's just like just making you do more work. I don't know. It just gives you all the answers before it gives you the questions, and I thought that was just really just a stupid move.
Well, see, to me, the getting the answers create questions, so it's fun.
It wasn't really something I liked, but by the end, I ended up liking it. In the OVAs, I thought it was good. The voice acting was really good.
Yeah, I liked the characters. Like, some of the characters were whatever, but some of them were really cool. I guess that's the some benefit you get when you have like 20 characters. You can like some of them because there's so many.
Hopefully, yeah. I felt like there was way too many, and like you never got enough backstory in any of them.
If you read the books, then it might become more apparent because I don't know. It has a cult following. People who like Baccano really like Baccano.
Seems like it might be something like that.
It's a culty kind of show.
But then to wash that out, I also watched another anime. Something that I really enjoyed.
Lupin the Third.
Kujibiki Unbalance.
Yes. Now, I've never watched this. I watched I think like the first bit of it. Or like the preview of it.
I watched the 3-episode OVA. It also has a full season of TV.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I watched the first episode of the TV or like a piece of the OVA. I watched it somehow.
Well, isn't like the first episode of Genshiken like the first part of
Yeah, I
it?
mean, it's not the whole first. No, it's like the first before the OP starts is Kujibiki and Balance, and then the OP of the first episode is.
But it's amazing. If the listener doesn't know, there's a manga and anime called Genshiken, and it's just about this club of otaku nerds, and it's just slice of life. But inside the anime, they like an anime called Kujibiki Unbalance. And it's just like the stupidest sounding, like most generic thing about just these high school students doing. I guess everything's decided by lottery, like picking a piece of paper out of a giant box.
Yeah,
And then that decides like what club you're in and I guess what club you fight or something. And it's just hilarious. It's not super hilarious. It's super subtle on like the jokes it plays because it tries to like they worked really hard to make like a serious anime out of the stupid fake anime concept, and I thought it was hilarious.
yeah. If you watch all of Genshiken, they're constantly watching Kujibiki and Balance on the TV, so you always get like little clips of it, and you're just like, "What are they doing?" and then it goes away, and you're like, "I want to know what they were doing on the TV."
Yeah, that's how I started watching it. I was reading Genshiken. Pat left me all of his manga, and he has 4 volumes of it. And I read it, and I'm like, Genshiken is so boring. But like, I don't know, this Kujibiki Imbalance sounds pretty. I don't know, like, why is there an anime of it? So I watched that, and I was like, this is really funny. There's a first episode, a flashback episode that's like episode 21 or something, and then they have the second to last episode, and those are the 3 you get to watch of it.
Is the OP for the OVA the same one as that they use for Genshiken?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's
Great.
so good. That's like the best song ever.
It is the best song. I remember when I first heard it, it was just I was humming it all day.
Yeah, it's still stuck in my head. Did you see that live version I sent you?
Yeah,
It's just a rock band jamming it out.
Genshiken was one of the first things that I watched that wasn't on Toonami.
Yeah, I'm still reading it. I decided to keep going. I think I'm on like volume like 6 or 7 now.
Yeah, I think I have up till 6 physically.
I got to the part where the original guys graduated.
Yeah, that's when it starts getting kind of like, oh, I don't know about this anymore.
I know there's like all girls except for one
It
guy.
just it changes, yeah. And I'm like, I like the other guys. I like especially like the, well, I like the president. He's crazy.
The original president?
Yeah, like Prez, like the weird guy.
Yeah, the weird guy.
He just shows up, and you're like, who's this guy? And then I like, well, then I like the new, like the first president. I forget his name, Masume.
Snaggletooth guy?
Yeah, the guy with the glasses and the bowl cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to the part where like they all got jobs and graduated, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a job 10 minutes from here, so I'm gonna still be in the club."
Yeah. I like when they leave the club room and the kids like looking at all the models and they surprise them.
Yeah. Every new member, they're like, "Leave all the porn on the table, and we'll sit across the building and watch with binoculars."
Yeah, and watch what he does. And then they all get up and look at it.
Does the anime have where the new girl comes in? It must.
Yeah, well, they made a second season.
Oh,
like
yeah, that's right.
Like it just came out like last year or 2 years ago or something.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't watch it, but the pictures are
I
ahead.
watched like the first episode and that's all. Because I was like, oh, I should probably refresh and see what's going on. And then just didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I really don't care about the newer characters. They're not as good.
Yeah, I'm reading the manga just because I kind of feel like I might eventually watch the Kujibiki and Balance TV, but I don't know. It's so boring. Like, nothing happens.
That's true. The jokes are, I like the jokes, but I haven't really watched it in a long time, so I should probably, I don't really have anything to compare it with besides, my high school self.
Yeah, it's really just straight slice of life. Sometimes there can be a good joke thrown in there, but it kind of feels like it's not the purpose of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more just depicting life as an otaku, and then it has some jokes strewn about. It's no GTO, which is the greatest manga ever told.
Oh, I'm also reading the prequel to that,
Oh, Shonen something.
where he's in high school. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the best too.
it's pretty
good.
good. Yeah.
They made an OVA of that as well, so you can watch it. Man, that was my first manga that I ever bought was GTO. I was like, this is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna watch now though.
Need to finish Legend of the Galactic Hero.
Yeah, good luck on that.
It's so long. It's so intimidating to watch.
I thought you liked watching long shows because they're long.
I do, but it's a commitment. You gotta like really watch it.
Well, just give up now. What did you watch though instead of Legend of Galactic Heroes?
All right. So my main thing that I just watched, Time of Eve. Eve no Jikan. It was good.
It's quite good.
That's my review.
It's actually more than good.
It is probably in my top anime films ever.
Anime films,
Yes.
not just out of all films.
No, not out of all films.
It's not in your top out of all films, even top 10.
It's tough. I have to go and reevaluate my list of top films, but it's no slouch. That's for sure.
What anime film was better than it?
Well, my my favorite anime film of all time might not technically be better, but it is still my favorite, which is Wings of Oniamis.
Well, it's better than that.
And I like Akira, which you did not.
No, it's definitely better than that.
Well, and you know, my all-time favorite, actually, Spirited Away, just doesn't hold a candle to that.
I gotta say, Perfect Blue and Time of Eve.
Yeah, Perfect Blue is fantastic.
Especially Time of Eve. It's the perfect mix of sci-fi and slice of life. And it's got a little drama in there. Makes me cry at the end.
Yeah, with that Rosie the Robot clone.
It's so good. I'm not going to tolerate anybody who says it's bad. That's why there's no guest on this episode.
It's really good. I don't know how any person could think it was bad. It's like the same kind of feeling where you're like, how could you hate Aladdin? You might not like Aladdin, but you can't hate it. It's like, this is just a good show. Anyone can like the show.
It's so good. Is it kind of basically in just like the near future, right?
Yeah, it takes place in the near future where everyone has these androids that do work for them, and they're all programmed with Asimov's laws of robotics.
They're slaves.
Yeah, they're basically slaves to humans, but they can't, I forget the laws, but they can't hurt a human.
Cause harm to come to a human, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all those laws. And it's like iRobot, basically. And so some people are racist against the robots and think that they shouldn't be treated as humans. And a lot of people think that they
Are just tools.
operate as robots and don't have any feelings.
Yeah.
But it turns out there's this cafe where you can go, and all the robots and humans can interact with each other. And you find out that the robots, the androids, have very similar to human personalities. And you can't really tell if they're a robot or human. And that's the whole point of the cafe.
I love it.
It's like a little oasis where you can go and just hang out with these beings who you're like, this might be a person or this might be an android, but I don't know. And vice versa. You could just be talking to, or you could be an android talking to a human. You know, it's like whatever. Can't know. So much so to where you can't even find out. Because if you try to leave, the door will lock for 2 minutes. And you can't follow
People
someone
kind of
out.
get away, yeah.
Yeah, they can go leave and go back to being a slave or whatever.
It's so cool. I love the premise so much. I love things that are just like short little stories, and that's what this is. Like the main character, like he kind of starts out and he's just kind of like, whatever, slave, like carry my umbrella, carry my book bag. I might be wrong. I watched a long time ago.
He's not that mean about it. He's just sort of like, I have this robot, like whatever.
Does he find out first that she's wandering around, or does he find out about the cafe separately?
No. He finds out, he's sort of like, where does she go? Because he's wondering why the robot goes away on her own. He's like, well, I'm going to follow her. And him and his friend discover the cafe after the trailer.
Yeah, and they just kind of like hear stories, which I love, about just they'll meet a robot, be like, what's your thing? He's like, I used to be a bank robber. I stole a wedding ring from my girlfriend. That probably didn't happen. I'm probably remembering wrong. And then like they meet an old robot and he's like, I am a human. I was the first robot ever. And they're like, oh, you're obviously an old jankety robot.
My favorite is when that like the first robot comes in. They exclaim that like, oh, he was like the new model when we were in like preschool. And he's just this old rickety like tin can looking. He looks like the Iron Giant but all small. All the other robots look like humans, like you can't tell. But this looks like a robot, like just walks in like with this just steel construction and is all crazy. And they have to ask it stuff, and it like has this really primitive programming.
Because it was originally, I guess, like some OVAs or something. And then they made a movie version and just kind of mashed them together and added some in-between shots. Which I suspect the in-between shots were like of that company or whatever.
Which company?
You know the parts in where it's like they're like monitoring the robots or something. I can't remember if like were they.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was weird. They never really talked about that much.
Yeah, but it was the father of the last kid, right? Was he with the company or something?
Yeah, that kid's father was on the committee, the ethics committee.
Yeah, and
that,
they're
like,
against the robots, right?
Yeah, they want to make it so the robots are slaves and not equal.
It's a really cool movie. Everybody should watch Time of Eve.
Yeah, it is like a good commentary on racism and everything like that. But it's also just really interesting. Like good stories, good little short. Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about it, kind of stories.
It's so cool. I love sci-fi things set in the just like the so near future. Like I don't like things where it's like everyone has a spaceship and a pill for food. It's like I want to see like one invention that's changed us that's impossible to have, you know.
Yeah. It really feels like that. I mean, it's basically like now, except for everything is like has an LED display in it, and everyone has a computer, and everyone's desk at school is like a wooden old desk, except for it has like a USB charging port in the side.
Yeah.
It's just very like you can imagine it happening now in like 10 years.
It's so cool.
He's so cool.
Yeah. And I would say anybody who says it's bad is, I don't know.
He's a bad person.
They're just bad men.
They're bad men. They can't like have empathy. Maybe they are a robot themselves.
It's the whole reason we didn't have a guest this show. We just refused to entertain his bad opinions.
Most people do probably like it if they've seen it. We could have had any guest.
We could have had anybody on Earth except for one.
Maybe someday we'll learn the reason, but it doesn't matter.
Nope.
But yeah, Time of Eve. Great show. I recommend it to all humans and androids.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
We went to Japan with Kenny, had him translate for everyone.
Yeah, he walked around with us like we were some sort of foreign diplomats. And
The only thing I could say was Antabaka, and nobody got the joke. I almost got arrested.
he was just saying that to cops and street passerbyers, and they were not happy.
No.